Welcome to our presentation of TexasData Tips for Efficient and Effective Use. Before we begin, we want to offer additional ways to receive TexasData help. First and foremost are the tooltips. These tooltips are a great resource and are detailed and robust. We also offer the help and support page for each section, which contains our contact information and the user guide in a PDF format. Additional resources are available from us on our website at the link listed below. We also offer resources via our social media on Facebook and Twitter. Of course, you can always reach us by phone, email, or using the live chat feature. Let's start by talking about Texas planning. TexasData isn't for developing a plan. Rather, it's for documenting that plan. The planning process is always completed before you ever enter a plan into TexasData. Remember, good planning can lead to more efficient and effective reporting. Be sure and use the resources available to you, listed on your screen below, to assist in developing your plans before you enter them into TexasData. When it comes to the type of plans, you will see the terms external and internal contacts referred to on retrievals. External items, such as planning group meetings with LABs or PACs, would not be on your organizational support plan. Internal meetings, such as office meetings, would be on the organizational support plan. Keep in mind, external contacts are those that are made with the public, and organizational support contacts are those that are internal to the agency. For the times you need to record effort, and there are no contact numbers to record, consider using the Plan Support task type. Plan Support tasks can be used on outreach or in-depth plans as well as organizational support, and give you the opportunity to record a narrative about what effort was put in without requiring the contact numbers. A good example of a time to use a plan support task is when you have an office meeting. This is effort within your own agency and therefore doesn't require any contact numbers to be recorded. Let's talk about the differences between task versus sessions. A full report includes marketing information, volunteer information, and evaluation information. If all sessions are covered by one set of marketing, volunteer, and evaluation information, then it makes sense to have one task with multiple sessions, which would generate one report to record this in. On the other hand, a session is a single activity or event and records the direct contact information for that activity. Remember, it is only a portion of a full report. So think about how the data you will be entering when reporting to a task will appear when it is retrieved later in order to make the best task setup decision. What you put in now while planning will help you in how you retrieve the data later. When setting up a task, you need to determine which method is more effective or efficient, a general task or a specific task. Both methods are acceptable. Again, it depends on how you want to retrieve the data later. If you need to see a full report of its own with one session, then enter the task that way. So who needs to be a team member on your plan? You no longer have to be a team member to have a task assigned to you. The lead on a plan can assign a task to anyone within AgriLife who needs to report to that plan. You do have to be a team member in order to add a task, such as the use of the Report to an Unplanned Task feature. Multi-year plans are allowed by TexasData. If you set up a multi-year plan, you will have to document what the intended result is for each year of the plan. For instance, a 3-year in-depth plan may have the first year intended result as awareness, followed by year 2 intended result as learning, and finally ending the program in year 3 with an intended result of applying what the learners learned. Click the link at the bottom of your screen for additional information on when to use these results. In addition, adopt from a previous year is not allowed by TexasData when creating a plan. The decision to not allow plans from a previous year as a template was an administrative decision. This is to encourage quality and careful planning prior to going into TexasData. Let's talk about Texas reporting, where it's not just about recording numbers, but actually showcasing your impacts. Did you know you don't have to report monthly? In other words, you can report all month long and don't have to wait until the reporting period of the 1st through the 10th of the month. The system will allow reporting during the current month via the desktop full report, or you can begin a session using Quick Session. Using the TexasData app will also allow for reporting sessions while on site at a program. Some districts and associate department heads do need to pass the numbers along earlier, so they request them by the 7th of the month. Please use the date your supervisor prefers. It is important to understand the difference between a full report and a session. Full reports provide all the details about the task, including marketing information, volunteer collaborator information, and evaluation information. Sessions, on the other hand, detail the specific contact information about the activity or event within the full report. Note that a full report can contain multiple sessions. Both a full report and entering sessions require you to submit. However, submitting a session does not submit the full report. You must additionally submit the full report to be in compliance. There are 3 phases to the reporting process. It is important to understand the differences in these phases. The first phase is the unreported task. This is a task which has not been reported to in any way. The second is the unsubmitted report. This is a report on a task which has been started but not yet submitted. The last is the submitted report. This is, of course, a report which has been finalized and submitted. The difference between the 3 is the unsubmitted and submitted areas contain reports, not tasks. These types of activities are different. In other words, if a report is deleted, the task will remain until the task is also deleted. You can visit the link on your screen below to see a document on how to delete a report and a task. We mentioned using an app to facilitate reporting while at an event. The app works both on iOS and Android devices and can be obtained at texasdata.tamu.edu/mobile. This app is not available in the stores and therefore will require you to adjust your phone's app settings in order to allow the download from a website. Another option is for other mobile devices such as tablets. This is a URL which you bookmark on the device's browser. The site to bookmark is tx.ag/QK/SES. Both options begin a report and allow you to report session data to that report. It does not allow for the completion of a full report at this time. The remainder of the full report will need to be accessed from your desktop within the Unsubmitted Reports tab and completed and submitted. Let's visit about the educational contacts we're collecting in that session data. Note that TexasData is primarily used to report educational contacts with external audiences. It is not intended to track your time. Therefore, it is not a time clock that you need to punch in and out. We want to know about your events. Something else to consider is that the session links you report are from the perspective of the participant. For that item, a good example is a booth at a county fair. As an agent, you may have been there for 8 hours, but those who visited the booth may have only been there 15 minutes. Therefore, your contact information would be the number of those who visited the booth at a quarter of an hour. It's important to understand there are different types of educational contacts. Direct contacts are collected within sessions. Indirect contacts are collected within report methods for newsletters and the educational resources distributed at events. And individual contacts are from your monthly summary. A note here is that individual contacts are not a repeat of what you entered in your sessions. Examples of individual contacts would be the farmer who walks into the office with a weed from his pasture needing it identified, or the lady who calls for a list of farmers markets in your area. So what do we do about mass media and social media? While the agency and our clientele see the importance of our social media, the legislature is not currently collecting these numbers, and therefore we do not collect these numbers as the educational contacts. We do have a task method which allows for a narrative where you can give specifics about your social media reach, as well as collect very basic numbers on the monthly narrative. We do ask for some mass media numbers for agency purposes as well, but the content of the event or publication is what we find quite important. Tagging a participant on a report allows everyone involved in an event, whether they are responsible for reporting contact numbers or not, to document their participation and validate their time in your event. Even if you just worked the registration table or ran a tractor drag at a horse show, you can be tagged or tag yourself and enter a participation report outlining your involvement. These participation reports are then retrievable at a later date. These participation reports round out the full report by supplying additional detail not collected in the full report. Reports you are tagged on appear under Texas Reporting, My Tagged Reports. You can view the task lead's full report and choose to report your participation as well. You can also tag yourself to a report if the lead has neglected to do so. Again, using this method, you have the opportunity to add your participation report. We are restating what we have said all along. The data you get out is only as good as the data you put in. Good data will help you out in the long run. Quality notes are your chance to shine, not whine. They are also not intended to be a repeat of the same information you just entered into your report. Do you know the difference between session narratives versus report notes? Session narratives will give specific details about an individual activity or event and will explain what was covered during that event. It should demonstrate why the session was important and what impact was made, and you should consider including things like quotes, testimonials, success stories, or other good metrics. On the other hand, report notes are the notes for the full report that give details that summarize all sessions contained in the report. Things such as how's your plan going, what is working and what could you do better with, what trends are you seeing, and are you moving towards your objectives. Any sort of thoughts and constructive criticism on the full report are a good thing to put in report notes. Sometimes, in order to give good and accurate data, it helps to know who's using the data. So we've provided a chart here to let you know what data is being looked at by which entities. Session data, which is the direct contacts, are looked at by the state and federal governments. The DEA will also look at those as performance indicators. Volunteer and collaborator information, that's used agency-wide. Your marketing information, your DEA and RPLs will use that to assess success factors on your programs. And for some of those larger initiatives, agency as a whole is looking at that. Educational resources, those are actually considered indirect contacts, so the state is looking at those. External resources, who you got to collaborate with you in your event, who were sponsors, that sort of thing. Your DEA is certainly going to look at that to gauge on the success that they offer to your event. Your event evaluation, you of course will look at that. Your DEA and RPL will look at that. And again, for things such as initiatives, the whole agency will look at that. Your report notes, again, that's where you can make your program shine. Your DEA is certainly going to look at that, and you will refer back to those notes as well down the road. Mass and social media, the DEA is interested in seeing how you use those various avenues to educate your public. And then the individual contacts, again, those are valid contact numbers, and the state will look at those. Let's take a minute and talk about demographics, which are entered within the session data on a full report. What you see here is a screenshot of the TexasData app, but the same process applies to entering session data from the desktop. If you have specific data, say from a sign-in sheet, be sure to use it. However, we realize often it will be a best faith estimate, so in those cases, try to think in terms of percentages. Sometimes it just takes thinking outside the box to make things easier. For instance, think about using your mobile device's dictation options. For example, Notes or Apple Siri. Often your phone can record notes for you on the spot that you can then send to yourself and copy and paste into session notes or report notes later. Dictate to your phone as soon as you have something worth noting rather than trying to remember later. Also, remember, if you don't have your evaluation information in on time to submit your report, don't let that hold you up from submitting. Go ahead and submit, and then when the evaluation information does come in, you can go to the Submitted Notes or Submitted Reports tab, and you can update evaluation from that tab without reopening your report. File uploads. Many districts require that you upload files such as the agenda or the minutes. Those files are fine to upload per session. We take most of the normal file types, XLS, PDFs, Word, JPEGs, so you shouldn't have any issues uploading all those file types. And there might be some upcoming changes that will be minor within the 2016 work year. The biggest thing you'll see is something similar to the interface you're seeing on the screenshot here. This is a different software piece called Texas Resources, but the change that you see is strictly to make it more modern and a little more easy on the eyes. The workflow we've talked about to this point will not change. Something we get a lot of questions on quarterly is when we do the locks for the quarters. We do need to lock down the data after every quarter because we have to submit numbers to the legislature. So we lock the data so that once we send numbers to the legislator, that data cannot be changed in case of an audit. The lock dates are important. They happen the month after the end of the quarter, December 20th, March 20th, June 20th, and September 20th. Our fiscal year is September to August, so these are going to be the quarters within the dates that we lock. What we recommend is that you put a reminder on your calendar a couple of weeks prior to the lock so that comes up and reminds you to go make sure you've submitted all your unsubmitted reports and reported all the tasks at hand. Then put that reminder another week out in front of the quarterly lock and just do another second check. And then maybe a day before the lock. So I would actually put that on my calendar just as a reminder. Texas Info is all about seeing your accomplishments. It is what houses the retrievals and where all the work that you did reporting is available to you to retrieve. The Texas Reporting Info and the individual report retrievals retrieve data from submitted reports and can be viewed as individual reports or grouped by plan or unit in a PDF format. These retrievals also contain visual summaries which can be useful. The individual performance report will also give you details about tasks that you were tagged as a participant in. During the planning season, you can review your prior plans or look at someone else's plans as a guide using the plan summary retrieval. You can even copy and paste text from the retrieval to your new plan where text is allowed. After the plan year is over and you have uploaded your plan summaries, this retrieval houses access to view those summaries. If a summary was uploaded to a plan, the download button will be available in order to view the summary. This rounds out our list of items we thought were important considerations when adding plans and preparing for future reports and data retrieval. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call the help desk. We are here for you.